training seminary at Dalur Mutt for a few years. On coming back to America, he served in the Trabuco Monastery before taking his final vows as monk in 2008. He is posted as a resident monk in San Diego Monastery since 2008 and currently serves as the president of the Inter-Religious Council in San Diego. Is that a part of our society or just something different?
Wait, the interreligious?
Yeah.
No, so that's it's one of the it's the first interreligious organization in San Diego that was formed.
Oh, okay.
And so we were part of the founding members.
Yes. That's all I know. Yeah.
Swami, do you need the mic? We have everything set up.
I think I'm okay.
Okay.
All right. I think everybody can hear me.
Swami is young and his voice is very young, so it's quite.
But your ears may be not as...
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Swami, we visited you back with Swami Swananji at San Diego many years ago.
It's San Diego.
You look
Yes.
as young as that.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't we begin with the prayer? If you
Yeah.
know the prayer, Asatoma, let's join together. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Avir Maete Rudrayate Dakshinam Mukham Penamam Pahinityam Penamam Pahinityam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. O Lord, guide us through and through, and ever protect us with thy loving presence. Om, peace, peace, peace to all beings everywhere. Well, thank you so much for inviting me here back in North Carolina. The last time I was here, I had a very nice time, and thank you so much again for inviting me. It's a very, I'd say, motherly center that it feels like. Do you know, how many of you have been to a Hollywood Center? By show of hands. Okay. How many have been to San Francisco Center? Anybody? Okay.
I think we went to San Francisco.
No, we didn't go to center, we could send.
So, if you, how many have been to Jairampati, mother's birthplace? How many have been to Kamarpukur? Okay. So, if you knew our Swami Swahananji, he's very much a motherly type. And so, if you've been to Jairampati is the place where Mother was born, Holy Mother. This over here. Does everybody knows, right? You also are familiar. Okay. So, if you go there, you'll find that there's a big difference between Jairampati and Kamarpukur. In Kamarpukur, Sri Ramakrishna was very strict. Everything had its proper place, and everything had to be in place. So if you watch the pujari in Kamarpukur, he does the puja par excellence. The singing is done, everything is done timely, everything is done on time, and done superb. If you go to Mother's Shrine, you'll find, what do you notice? During my time, back when I was in 2003, there was a very old Swami, and that old Swami used to do the puja. So, and there was another old Swami that used to do this kandana. So when the Swami would begin, he'd go kandana, and then you'd see the old Swami. So the old Swami is waving, and so he'd wave this fan one time I was watching him. And then a truck pulled in front of the temple. As he's waving, doing arati, he looks at the truck, he says, with the fan, he's telling, go away, go, move. And then he comes back. Jairampati is a place where we'd say the misfits of the Swamis that in our order, they end up in Jairampati. So, because it's a place that only Mother, with her love, she can embrace everybody. Kamarpukur, very strict. Okay, everything has to be precise. Same thing we find if you go to Hollywood. Hollywood under Swami Swahananji, you'll find many different people there, sometimes different monks, and you would think who's a monk, who's not a monk, and we call it misfits, but it's out of love that everything is linked together, everybody's bonded. if you go to San Francisco during Swami Prabhupada Maharaj's time,
Strict.
very strict. You have to come, everything done on time, with proper place, with awareness. So this is sort of the difference between our Hollywood and San Francisco, between our Jairampati and Kamarpukur. So what I find, people go and visit Sri Ramakrishna. They go visit, but where do they stay? They want to stay with Mother.
Mother, yeah, Saraswati, yeah.
So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak about something I think a lot of you may not know. I'm going to speak on the images of an avatar. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak on the images of Sri Ramakrishna. If I were to ask you, how many pictures of Ramakrishna were taken? How many photographs of Ramakrishna were taken?
5 or 6.
5 or 6. Actually, it was good. There was actually 5 that were
Five
taken.
of those,
Yeah, the 5 that we have. And out of those, what you normally see is 3 of them. 2 of them were taken during his Mahasamadhi. So they usually don't show those, right? And there was actually, if you technically say, there was a 6th one taken.
Right.
I forget now, but that was taken by one of Thakur's disciples, and then, but Ramakrishna, the person felt bad because Ramakrishna did not like the photograph, and so then he threw it in the Ganga. So we have 5, and out of the 5, we have 3. And today, I'll be talking about those 3 photographs. Okay. Now, let's think about this, because sometimes we don't really quite understand what we're saying. Do you know, this could be, if we consider Ramakrishna an avatar, this was the first time in the history of mankind that an avatar was captured on film. Normally when we think of pictures, or when we see pictures of an avatar, like Ram, like Shiva, like Krishna, they are paintings or they are murtis, they are models that are constructed by somebody else's vision. So what you're seeing when you see a picture of Shiva, of Krishna, of Ram, is you're seeing somebody's vision or idea of God being constructed on a canvas, being made in a murti. Okay? This is the first time in the history of the world that we have an actual picture, an exact replica of what Ramakrishna was. Very interesting, all right? And today, actually, we'll be talking a little bit why these holy pictures are so important. A little bit also about what is the history behind these photographs. You know, these photographs are not just static pictures. There's a whole dynamic, what we call a dynamic history that led to this instance when the photographer took the picture and in that second, this image was captured. But behind that second, there was a whole history that built up to this instant, this picture that we have. And then another thing is that how can we use these pictures to deepen our own spiritual life? Many of you maybe are meditating on images of God. How can we use this to deepen our spiritual life? How can we develop an emotional connection? Because if we have an emotional connection with God, then we can recollect God much easier. If we develop some type of familiarity with God, then we can recall that image also much clearer. So we have to try, how can we, in our meditations, how can we try to develop an emotional connection? How can we try to develop familiarity? How can we also get some more depth of knowledge? So when we see the photograph, the more knowledge we have, the more appreciation we have. So today we're going to look into some of these things, all right? So that's our goal. So let me tell you, every photograph conveys a message. So I'm going to show you a few photographs here. Hopefully this works. Okay. So each photograph conveys, what's the message that this photograph is telling?
Khadi,
Mahatma Gandhi.
Mahatma Gandhi is the Charkha, this was actually against.
But what does it convey to you? In a few words, you just say, what is the message it's bringing to
He's
you?
very, very serious. What is he doing? And that-
Khadi, it was
Against the
actually simplicity. It was when the
Homemade.
British companies.
Home goods, use your
and
own
it
goods.
was-
So in other words,
By
here he's
God.
saying that basically self-dependence,
Yes.
Yeah, very
freedom.
good, yeah.
okay?
Freedom
So
is appropriate.
right. So just remember, every picture is conveying a message. Ultimately, we're going to see what are the pictures of Ramakrishna conveying to us. So let's just get our mind into this set. What about this picture? What is this picture? What is it? Just quickly, what is it telling you?
Destruction.
Destruction. Okay. Anything else?
The release of a tremendous amount of energy. but
Power.
misguided power.
Power, energy, destruction. Very good. What about this image here? What does that convey to you?
Science.
Victory, success.
Success, victory,
Accomplishment of science.
accomplishment, adventure. Okay, wonderful. So, if when you see the picture of Ramakrishna here, when we look at this picture, does it convey, what is it conveying to you? Before I tell you this, normally we think, how many states of consciousness, when we talk about Vedanta, what are the states of consciousness that we talk about? What are our normal states of consciousness? Right. There's the waking state, the sleeping state,
Dreaming.
and the
Dreaming.
deep sleep state.
Mm.
Okay? What is this photograph? Is this photograph any of those three states?
No.
No. What state is he depicting?
Above it.
What is that above it? You guys listen to your Sarva Priyananda. I know he comes here. Huh? Samadhi. And this is what we call the fourth state, Turiya.
Turiya.
Okay? So here, you're seeing in the photograph, the state of Turiya. Not any of our normal states. Turiya.
It's
Turiya literally means fourth.
Mhm.
Okay?
In what?
Fourth.
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 Yeah.
Fourth. First, second, third, fourth.
There are two seats in the front, please. You can come, two seats in the front. Huh? Okay.
So, now, and before we, anybody, just very quick, when you see the photograph of Ramakrishna, what comes to your mind? Let's just start off. We have to start a spiritual life from where you're at, and then from where you are, we're going to start building on that. Just quickly, just 1, 2. When you see the image of Ramakrishna, what comes to your mind?
Love.
Love. Okay.
Peace.
Anybody else? Peace. Awakening. Wonderful. Good. Those are very good.
Calmness.
What's that?
Calm.
Calmness. Good.
So peaceful.
Good. What was the one thing that Ramakrishna could not renounce? He said, I can renounce everything except this. What was that?
True.
Truth. Does that come to your mind?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So these are some ideas we're putting in our mind now. Let's see what Holy Mother had said about this photograph. Okay? Let me see. Let's see. So I just, she said,
Mhm.
okay, the body and the shadow are the same. What is his picture but a shadow? If you pray to him constantly before this picture, then he manifests himself through the picture. Let's try to deconstruct this. What does this mean? Say, the body and the shadow are the same. What is the shadow?
Picture of him.
Shadow of the body.
What is the shadow? What is she saying is the shadow here?
It's a picture. I think.
Is the picture.
Yeah.
Okay, make
Yes.
it very simple.
Yes.
Okay, if you have a shadow,
Mhm.
what must be present?
Somebody must be
Person-
present.
Huh?
An object must be
An
present.
object must be present.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So an object. What is that object? The presence of Sri Ramakrishna.
Mhm.
His living presence must be there in order for a shadow. Unless you're a vampire, you create a shadow. Okay? So the living presence of Ramakrishna must be there, and what is she saying? Is that the shadow then is reflected in his picture. That is the shadow. Without him being there, you don't have the shadow. You don't have the picture. Then what is she saying? If you pray to him, if you pray to this shadow,
Yeah.
this picture, this shadow, constantly, with love, with dedication, with sincerity, what begins to happen? The person behind the shadow, who's casting that shadow, emerges through the picture
Manifest.
and the unknown becomes known. This is what Holy Mother is saying. So there is something living. There's some presence living in this picture. And by trying to pray, we are trying to make the unknown, that presence, become known to all of us. What she would do, remember, let's just take her as an example. When she would feed Sri Ramakrishna in puja, she would offer food to Ramakrishna. You know what Ramakrishna would do from the photograph? Out of that photograph, she would say, a ray of light would come and touch each of the food objects. It's a living presence that is behind this picture. And I'll give you one further joke. Do you remember, I said this last time, when Swami Sarvadevan, a little kid asked Swami Sarvadevananda, Swami, we see food being offered to Ramakrishna, but when the food comes back, we see the food is the same. Does he eat anything? Do you remember what I said? Okay, so what I said, so what does he eat? So, in other words, what Swami had said was that when you offer the food, when you're making it, you're putting a coating of love. And that jam of love. Then he took a piece of bread with jam on it. And he said, what does Ramakrishna take? He says, then he took his tongue out and licked the jam off the bread. He takes the jam of your devotion, the jam of your love, and then he returns you the item, and that's the prasad. If you do not give love, he's going on a diet. Okay? It's a love-free diet. So you have to, whatever you do, whatever you give, as Krishna has said in the Bhagavad Gita, offer with love. Okay. So another thing we should keep in the back of our mind, any photograph that we normally see of a loved one, say your husband, wife, kids, family, it creates a memory within you. It brings up a memory within you. When you look at a picture of Ramakrishna, one of our Swamis had said, it is linked directly to the divine. So just like when you chant your mantra, the mantra is linked to the divine, the image of an avatar is also linked to the divine. Every time you look at it, it's like Mother said, pulling a chain, link, closer and closer. You're bringing the Lord closer to you. So, why do we meditate on an avatar? Well, they are what we call tirthas. Do you know what a tirtha is? What's a tirtha? Pilgrimage. Tirtha. Tir. Okay, like a pilgrim. My English,
it's okay.
Indian pronunciation, it's off. But it's a. So we said a. What did we say? No. What did it mean? Pilgrimage. Okay, so literally it also means passage, right? So it's a passage. Why? It's a passage where humans meets the divine, or a passage where the divine comes down to meet humans. Okay, let's not use man, human beings, okay? So a tirtha is a passage. And so Ramakrishna, this picture is a tirtha where you go cross the passage, break the walls of Maya into the divine, or where the divine manifests and comes to you. Right? Ramakrishna used to say, there are two in me when he was asked, who am I? The devotee and Divine Mother. There are two here. He connects with our human side and takes us to the divine side. This is why we meditate on an avatar. They are passages to another world, to the divine. So, now, let's get into the meat of this. Let's try to unlock the mysteries of the photographs of an avatar. So again, what I'm going to talk about now is the history. I'm going to show you three photographs of Ramakrishna. A little bit of the history, a little bit of the meaning behind what he says, and the meaning of the photo, what are some of our authoritative sources have said, and also, what is the picture trying to convey to you? What does it mean to you? Okay, so this is what I'm going to talk about right now. Before I go on, let me tell you that when I was searching for research on the 3 photographs of Ramakrishna, there's basically 2 articles that are available from the Prabhuta Bharata. And so, because we have limited information, I also did research. I talked to Swami Chaitananji Maharaj. I talked to a few Swamis in India. I talked to a dozen people. So what I'm giving you is the information that I have got from basically some of our advanced souls. And so you won't, this is not published, so this is the first time you may be hearing of some of these things. Okay, now, this is the first photograph. And I'm going to give you, this photograph was taken in Keshav Sen's house, June 21st, 1879.
No, this is
September 20.
September 21st, 1879. Keshav Sen was a noted reformer and leader of the Brahma Samaj. He had invited Ramakrishna to the Brahmo festival at his house. The well-known singer Trayalokanath Sanyal was present. Now Swami Raghavananda, who is a disciple of Swami Brahmananda, was there, and he's going to tell us what is happening here. The devotional music threw Sri Ramakrishna into ecstasy. I think I even had some music here. I have some music sometimes in some of these things, so we want to make sure this comes out a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to eat it. So, the devotional music threw Sri Ramakrishna into ecstasy. He uttered the word Om and stood up, raising his right hand. His outer senses left him, and he went into samadhi. Fearing that the unconscious body would fall to the ground, Ramakrishna's nephew, the nephew who's standing up, Hriday, supported Sri Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna probably had been wearing his chadar, either over his shoulder or hanging folded over his left shoulder, as is the custom. But when Ramakrishna rose up, the chadar fell to the ground. Hriday picked it up and tied it around Ramakrishna's waist for safekeeping. At this point, the photograph was taken. Keshav said, "Take the photograph here." So, now I'd like you to do one thing. Stare at this photograph for a moment, like a camera. Take a good look, and then close your eyes. Capture this as you're a camera. Capture it in your mind. Now close your eyes. What do you observe? Vaikuntanath Sanyal has described such experience as when the master was intoxicated with the joy of kirtan. We felt his divine body was as bright as molten gold and soft as cream. He was dancing in a semi-ecstatic state, slowly and rhythmically, back and forth. His left hand would be held up, slightly up, and his right hand raised. His left foot forward, the right one backward. And there's a unique expression on his face. You can open your eyes now. So, what is the meaning of this photograph? Well, during Sri Ramakrishna's time, one Swami told me that the most prominent religion, what we call the ambient religion, in Bengal was the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. Just like Protestant Christianity is the ambient religion in America. So, during that time, Sri Ramakrishna's, Sri Chaitanya's devotional love for Krishna, probably Ramakrishna was overwhelmed by music. He stood up and began to dance in the traditional Vaishnava way when he went into samadhi. I'm going to give you various interpretations, all right, of what happened here. Now, 4 copies of this print, of this picture was made, and one of them hung in Keshav Sen's house. So where Keshav Sen had commissioned this photograph, and one of them hung in his house. Keshav said, from the Gospel of Ramakrishna, we see this, Rajendra to Keshav. Many people say that he, pointing to this picture, is an incarnation of Chaitanya. Keshav, looking at the picture, one does not see such samadhi. Only men like Christ, Muhammad, and Chaitanya have experienced it. Now, when we look at the photograph, we start to notice that his hands, his body, his feet are in different positions. These are known as mudras. Mudras are just basically physical gestures indicating your mental state of consciousness. And very easy. When I'm angry, sometimes I'm like, I'm angry at you. Our face cringes, I'm pointing. This could be a mudra, okay? But mudras here, usually they indicate the state of consciousness that we're in. So if you ever notice in puja, what do? We do mudras, right? Do you know why we do these mudras? It's reverse engineering. These states of mudras, the physical gestures that they're expressing are high states of consciousness. So in puja, what we're doing, reverse engineering. We're making the mudras to take our minds to that state of consciousness. Usually when you're in that state, your body automatically contours into these formations. That's the whole basis of yoga, asana yoga. So when we look closer, let's try to understand some of the meanings of these mudras. Swami Premananda, one of the direct disciples of Ramakrishna, had said, referring to the right hand, said, it means everything is there. And in the left hand, not in the world.
Not any.
Not in the world. Swami Shraddhananda, who was probably one of the, he passed away in 1996, one of the very high souls to come to America. He was in Sacramento. He had written an article on this particular photograph called Cosmic Meditations on Ramakrishna. What he said is that the right hand, the fully stretched right hand, the two open fingers are vividly pointing to that timeless reality which the words of Vedas and Vedantas try to indicate but become silent. It's like this is the Vashishta star. Vashishta star is a bright star pointing to the Arundhati star. The Arun is that star which cannot be seen. It's very feeble. So something which is bright is trying to indicate something which is not bright. Something which is known is trying to indicate that which is not known. That's the right hand. The left hand, he's saying, represents the Vairagya Mudra. It's the detachment from the illusory senses of the world. Okay? The Vairagya Mudra. You ever, sometimes I think I may have told you, in Buddhism, they talk about the world is suffering. What is the word for suffering that they use? What is the word for that they say? Dukkha, right?
Dukkha.
Okay.
What is the word for?
Dukkha.
Dukkha.
Dukkha, yeah.
Okay.
Sorrow.
Sorrow. So in Buddhism they say life is suffering, right? The actual meaning of dukkha, a Buddhist monk was telling me, was it's the opposite of sukha. Sukha literally means to be at ease. So dukkha will mean to be at dis-ease.
Restless.
Disease.
Restless. So, but we're constantly at dis-ease. So our life, there's an emptiness that we're constantly experiencing, that we're trying to fill. So all of life is trying to fill the void, the emptiness that is inherent within us. Okay, the ego is known as the grasper. It's constantly trying to grasp things because it lacks something. Because of lack, it wants to grab, to fill. So we're constantly grabbing, trying to keep ourselves full. But like quicksand, it comes and then it disappears. So when you get your new iPhone, after 2 years, you say, I need another iPhone. So Apple will make another iPhone for you because they know everything has a sense of what we call a sense of
Time.
no, but a diminishing returns.
Yeah.
So they say in economics, there's a graph. It says I think I may have mentioned this last year, but the said he used the example of beer. You take your first can of beer, it gives you feel good. Second can of beer is not as good as the first one, but still good. Third can of beer is not as good as the second, but still good. Fourth can of beer, he says, gives you what you call optimal buzz. Fifth can of beer, you start to have a headache. Sixth can of beer, you start to vomit. Seventh can of beer, you pass out. Everything in life has a diminishing sense of return, right? So whatever you're trying to grasp from the outside, it's going to last for some time, but then after a while, you're going to feel again, I need something more. I need something different. I need something more. So this is the ego. Grahistra, always grasping. This is what's indicated by this Vairagya Mudra. Whatever you put in, it's like it goes out. Okay? So, and then the Swami said the smile on his face, Ramakrishna's face, indicates everything is here. Everything is here. You don't have to go out in the world to grasp it. Now, if we take a technical approach to what this meaning is, you see now the right hand. You want those of you like with your right hand make this mudra. You see this. Look at the way it's depicted like this. Both fingers are touching the thumb. Now, what is this? What is this? It's called the Mriga Mudra. Why called Migra Mudra? Why is it called that? What's the meaning of Mriga? Deer. Okay, deer. Why? What happens when an intruder comes to the presence of a deer, like a lion? The ears go up. It symbolizes awareness, consciousness. I am conscious. I am awareness. That's why in puja, one of our Swamis, Harinamananda, taught me that when you offer something, when we offer incense, when we offer anything with our right hand, we do what? We do it with Mriga Mudra. With full awareness, I offer this to you. With my full consciousness, I offer this to you. Right hand. Okay? That's the custom in India. We don't use the left hand.
Hold the lamp with the right hand.
Huh?
Hold the lamp.
So whatever we do, this not all the Swamis will do this, okay? But I'm giving you from what I've learned. And so you'll see Swami Harinamananda, if he does it, he won't do it this way. But this is a general mudra for awareness, Mriga Mudra, awareness. And this is what we were taught when I was a brahmachari, in our brahmachari vows, okay?
So why is deer mudra?
Deer means awareness.
Oh.
When an intruder comes, awareness. The ears of a deer go up, all right? Okay. And then the left hand is called the Alapada Mudra. The fully bloomed lotus. When the lotus blooms up, this mudra. I'm giving you another interpretation. I'm like a lawyer. I'm going to be presenting different cases. You're the judge. You find out what fits with you, okay? That's today. And each one of you will have a different thing. It's fine. So, what I'm saying here is that the left hand means fully bloomed lotus. Now, referring to this, Ramakrishna had said this. I saw a boy, when Ramakrishna had a mystical experience, he said this. I saw a boy, 22 years old, exactly resembling me, enter the Shushumna nerve and commune with all the lotuses, touching them with his tongue. The different lotuses of those centers, 4 petals, 6 petals, 10 petals, and so forth, had been drooping. At his touch, they stood erect. At last, the 1,000-petal lotus in the head blossomed. And since then, I have been in this state. Thakur saying this. So here, can it be implied that when all the lotuses bloom, when all the chakras bloom within us, we awaken to who we are? Pure consciousness, pure awareness. Could this be what this photograph is indicating? Now, another one, Swami Harinamananda said, this photo is Kumra Mudra. Do you know what Kumra? What is Kumra? What does Kumra mean? Tortoise. So if you know, and you've seen Mahayogananda come here, he will do a Kumra Mudra. Kumra Mudra, really what it means, so when we do this, we're meditating on the divine. Usually has a flower in between here. We're meditating on the divine in our heart. Why Kumra Mudra? Kumra Mudra represents the detraction. You're detracting the senses. Our awareness is going out through our eyes, through our ears, through our tongue, through our nose. It's going out. It's like trying to detect everything outside. When you do this mudra, what happens? Like a torture, the senses come in. Everything becomes indrawn. Towards where? Towards the heart. Alright? And so, as you meditate, you're meditating on the deity in your heart. But what Swami Harinamananda is saying is the left hand represents the bottom half of this mudra, and the right hand represents the top half of this mudra. Why? He's saying that? Because the divine is so vast, so expansive, it cannot be contained. It cannot be held. So to speak, the top blows off because it is not graspable. The divine is not holdable. Is this what this mudra means? So you can see, if you make this mudra like this is the mudra, and then pull it off, this will be the right hand, this will be the left hand. Are they two halves of the Kumara mudra, indicating the divine is ungraspable. And when we look further, his face. Okay, this is the picture of his face. Regarding this face, Swami Vijnanaji Maharaj, the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, who is the guru of Swami Swahananji Maharaj. Swami Vijnanaji Maharaj said, this face is Anande Futi Fata. Anande Futi Fata. It means
Bliss.
there's so much bliss, so much joy, that like a pomegranate, like a melon, it starts to crack. The joy within him, that bliss cannot be held, and almost like the face is cracking, like light is emanating, joy is emanating from that face. So, when we look at this whole photograph, could it be that Ramakrishna, now, let me be the lawyer, let me give my final case here for this one. Could it be that Ramakrishna was listening to the songs of the divine? Kirtan was playing in the background. He felt a surge of divinity rise within him. Almost like a rocket, he got up from his seating position, stood up, and started moving, swaying back and forth with the music. When all of a sudden, he exploded in stillness, in samadhi. And one person, Swami said, the screen could be indicative, and this is now stretching it a little bit, of Maya. Okay, the screen of Maya. But now, what's interesting, if you look at the people, what are they looking at? Huh?
Some of them are looking at the camera.
Some are looking at the camera, and some are looking at Thakur, the Ramakrishna. So it's really interesting because, you know, when this photograph was taken, it was taken by these big cameras, and they required about 2 seconds of exposure. So if there's any movement, you would have seen some blur. So at that time, these cameras were part of the latest of technology. So if you were sitting here, what would you be looking at? Would your mind be drawn out to the world, to the latest of technology? Or would you be awed by Sri Ramakrishna and seeing the divine? It's a good question. Where would our mind be here? So you see, half the people are looking at the world, and half of them are looking at him.
Actually, the front ones are looking at him.
Yeah.
The two, the very front.
You see,
Front to people.
Yeah.
yeah,
and
you see the front too. Then,
Yeah.
then some people in the back there.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
see. So, anyways, it's just
looking at him.
huh?
Rida is looking.
Rida is trying to support him
Yeah.
because he got in samadhi, and so
Yeah.
sometimes if he may fall, so he's there to support.
I don't see Keshav there, but so
No, I don't know. I don't see Keshav there.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
see
Keshav was instructing the photographer.
oh,
Take the
probably.
photograph now.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, because
So.
he was in his house, I don't see him.
Yeah. So, to me, what does this photo awaken within you? That's a question that I ask myself. What does it awaken within you? To me, it indicates the non-dual mood. Why? When you see this photo, does it indicate a sense of infiniteness, a sense of freedom, a sense of stillness, permanence? When you look at Ramakrishna's eyes, they're closed to the world. He's unaware of anything happening outside. See how detached he is. He's indrawn. He's rising above all the turbulence. And his face expresses peace an ecstatic joy? Does it make you feel, when you see this photograph, just like closing your eyes and getting into that space? Does it depict to you that I am pure consciousness, not concerned with the play of nature? I am Purusha, freed from Prakriti, out of the clutches of Prakriti. I fly away. I am the formless I, non-locational, eternal, not subject to birth and death. All perceptions, all feelings, all sensations, thoughts are rising, floating, and subsiding, all within me, but I am not moved.
So, Swamiji, you are supplying your words to indicate
What this photograph, yes.
Yeah, but
I'm giving you an interpretation.
His interpretation.
Yes. Okay. And then I'm going to back it up here. Okay. So does it indicate the state that I'm in eternal joy? All right. And so when we look at this photograph, my supporting evidence. Well, one way of looking at Ramakrishna, in the puja, you'll find that we do the Ramakrishna dhyana. Okay, the meditation of Ramakrishna. In the Ramakrishna meditation, it describes Ramakrishna in 3 ways. So, this photograph, now again, my interpretation. In the first mantra of Ramakrishna is Hridaya Kamale Madhye Rajitam Nirvikalpam Sadasada Beda Titam Eka Surupram Prakriti Rikiti Shunyam Nityam Ananda Murtim Vimala Paramahamsam Ramakrishna Bhajamaha. It describes Ramakrishna as undifferentiated truth, beyond all dualities, one without a second, beyond the changes of nature. What is it describing Ramakrishna as? As Brahman, the transcendental aspect of God. Is this what that photograph is depicting? I'm just laying some evidence. I'm like a lawyer, okay? I'm presenting some evidence. It's for you to think.
in a way it is depicting bliss absolute. What is bliss? What is the sign of bliss? You know, if you are in bliss, how you feel? You know, the way he is kind of doing all this kind of thing. He is in bliss. He cannot tell you what I was thinking or whatever. But his what we see in the picture, this is, if we do not know what bliss is, just like Sri Ramakrishna asked Vidyasagar, do you know what Brahman is? He said this tongue has defiled everything, but not Brahman.
Yeah.
The same way, the bliss. What is bliss? You cannot, if you eat rasgulla, how is rasgulla? You have to eat it
Sure.
to
Sure.
know
So you have to experience it.
experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's good. So that's it. So he thinks like Swami Bigyanji Maharaj, that this is a bliss. So there are many ways to think about it. So we have to see what does it mean to us. Okay, that's ultimately what we have to see. So that was the first photograph number 1. The second photograph. Can I get some?
Oh, yes.
Water.
Oh, yes.
Water.
Oh, yes.
I'll just get just a little bit of. Yeah.
Let me look at it.
So the next photograph we see here. How many? You have most of you have seen this photograph.
We have this picture, yeah.
I don't want to drink this right. Let me just drink just a
I'll
little
give
bit.
it in a glass.
No. I'll just drink right here. But I don't want. We don't
Okay.
shouldn't drink.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
shrine.
In the shrine, yeah. I take the rest of it. I hold it for the rest of it.
Okay. Oh, that one. Okay, so this is the second photograph that was taken here. It was December 10th, 1881, at 3 p.m. in Beaubazar, Calcutta, the Bengal Photography Studio. This is from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the history behind this photograph. Surendra Mitra took Sri Ramakrishna in a carriage to the studio of the Bengal photographer. The art of photography was explained to him, and he was shown how glass covered with silver nitrate takes the image. As the master went into samadhi, he was photographed. Now, that's the history of that. Now, Ramakrishna did not like to have his photograph taken. Okay? So, the only way to take the photograph would to be if he wasn't conscious of it. Alright? Example, point. Do you see this photograph of Holy Mother? This photograph of Holy Mother was actually, there were two photographs that were taken. Sister Nivedita brought, and Josephine McLeod brought Holy Mother to the Bengal, to the studio, photography studio. I forget which one it is. The first photograph, if you remember, she was standing there, and she was fully, her right hand was covered, and she was looking away. Okay, she was looking away, and she was very shy. She didn't want her photograph taken. And then what happened was, she was looking away, Nivedita started telling her started chanting some slokas, and got her into the state of samadhi. And when she went to samadhi, her back pulled up straight, the sari that you see fell over her shoulder. She's a woman from the village. She's naturally shy. She would not be showing her arm like this, okay? But she's unaware of the world in this state. So Ramakrishna also, why? He would not want to have his photograph taken. And I asked the Swami why. Because it meant also that his human elements would be seen. When he was in samadhi, only the divine elements are seen. So, then the question we should ask then, why did Ramakrishna go to the photography studio if he didn't like his photograph to be taken? Anybody?
Maybe he wanted to know the camera works and how that's
Very good. He wanted to know, Ramakrishna actually had a lively interest in the things of the day. He used to go to the circus, museum, theater. He wanted to know actually about the process of photography. And so, actually the studio he went to was the same studio of the people that took his photograph in #1. So the Bengal photographer, he went to his studio, and there he was explained the process of photography. And in that, all of a sudden he went to samadhi. So something spiritual happened. He had some spiritual implications of the explanation. What was that? Ramakrishna, in his own words, says this. Today I enjoyed very much the machine by which a man's picture is taken. One thing I noticed was that the impression does not stay on a bare piece of glass, but it remains when the glass is stained with a black solution. In the same way, mere hearing of spiritual talk does not leave any impression. People forget it soon afterwards, but they can retain spiritual instruction if they are stained with earnestness and devotion. So when I asked Swami Chidananji Maharaj what he thought about this, he said, you see, the reason things come in one ear, you go to a talk, and then they go out the other ear. Why we can't retain? He says, what happens is we need he said, the emulsion of devotion. We need to coat our mind either as seekers with knowledge or with love, so that when we open up to capture the words of these great swamis, we can capture, they have a black solution, they have love that they can get imprinted on, and they can stay with us. So,
Swamiji, this particular statement of Ramakrishna is in Kathamrita.
yeah. This is from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Kathamrita. Yeah. All the things that I print are from the Kathamrita. So, now, when I looked to find the meaning of this particular photograph, I couldn't find any meaning that had been written about. All right? So now I had to rely on swamis or investigative research. Okay. So the studio portrait was used, but this portrait here was used in an oil painting depicting the harmony religions. You see? Ramakrishna's right here.
Yeah.
And he's actually here with Keshav Sen.
It's showing him there.
And what's happening here is that Ramakrishna is pointing to the different people of different religions. And and the idea is that basically that all religions, jotoma totopat, all religions lead to the same ultimate truth. So you had a Christian church, you had a mosque, you had the Shiva temple, you have Chaitanya dancing with Jesus. It's really everybody's in harmony. He's creating the sense of that the idea of the interreligious council. You're talking about San Diego. This may have been one of the earliest paintings depicting harmony, not of just Hindu tradition, harmony of the basic traditions of the world coming together and in unity. Did you have your hand up at all?
No,
Okay,
sorry.
all right, it's okay. So this is something unique we see here.
So I don't think this is in Kathamrita though. This is not in.
This is not the Kattamrita.
Yeah,
No,
somewhere.
no. This is when Ramakrishna saw this
It is
photograph.
not even in gospel.
No, this
not
painting.
seen.
This painting is not in the gospel.
Yeah.
But actually, this was commissioned by Keshav Sen, right?
Oh.
And so what happened is Ramakrishna saw this painting, and this is what he said.
Oh, he saw this.
He saw this. Yeah, I'm giving you to what he said. He said, referring to this painting, he said, yes, it contains everything. That is the ideal of modern times. So what he said when he saw this, yes, it contains everything. That is the ideal of modern times. So, now, when we observe this photograph, we see Ramakrishna wearing a jacket. His right arm on the studio prompt, the hand facing downward. Okay? And his left hand is pointing to his right. And if you notice his eyes, they're open compared to the first photograph where they're closed. Okay?
That's a little bit
I can
different.
see eye
I see
open.
now, I see now.
Yeah, if you look closely, his eyes are
Very,
open.
very
You'll see his right hand's a little bit different. We'll talk a little bit about this. Now, the jacket that he wore here was, we actually have this jacket, and this jacket, this is a jacket that Ramakrishna wore in the Kalpatur day. This is in the Ramakrishna Museum. And so, what happened was Swami Nirvanananda, where's the Swami here? Swami Nirvanananda took the jacket and he measured the jacket's length. And then he looked at the photograph and using ratios, he calculated that Ramakrishna's height was 5 feet, 9 inches and a quarter.
It was that tall.
5 feet, 9 inches. It's very tall. He's actually taller than Swami Vivekananda, who they say is approximately 5 feet 8. Okay? So, what do the hands signify here? Look at his hands. What do the mudras signify? Now, look closely. Compared to the first photograph, his hand was like this, right? Now, this hand, right hand, is like this. The thumb is outstretched, okay? Pointing downwards, all right? If you look to find what this means, what does this mean? Anybody know what this means in sign language?
No.
It means love,
Right.
Oh.
okay? Now, if you look at the left hand, look at his left hand here. The left hand is actually mudra. We use this mudra we use in puja. It's called the Avagunta mudra. Sometimes you'll see when the Swami, they have food, or they're putting Avagunta mudra means to put a veil. You're veiling, you're putting a covering. So when we have food, we're putting a subtle covering over the food to designate it for the Lord. Okay? But here, in this case, Ramakrishna's hand is in the opposite direction. So it's the opposite of Avagunta. Okay? So instead of veiling, it means unveiling,
Oh.
uncovering. So what is the meaning of the hands? One, the hand is pointing downward, indicating love. Love that's pointing for, indicating what? Indicating aham, I'd say, eko aham, no. Eko aham bahu yasam. I am one. Out of my love, out of the overflowing love, the Lord becomes many. Okay? Eko aham bahu yasam. I am one. Out of the bliss, it's not out of lack. Out of the fullness of love, it overflows into this manifestation of this world. And the two fingers, Swami Harinamananda said, you have two fingers pointing down, represents what?
Love.
Duality. Duality. Okay? Duality is the pairs of opposites. Okay? Every experience in the world has a dualistic nature to it. You know, in last year's Super Bowl, when the Patriots played the Philadelphia, the very last play of the game, Tom Brady threw the ball to the end zone, and the ball was not caught. So at that moment, Philadelphia fans jumped in joy. The same moment, the New England fans were depressed. Every experience has a dualistic nature. Another experience you can see. I showed you this photograph. Did I show you this one
No,
before?
we didn't see
Okay.
that before.
Now you may recognize. Who's the Swami that you see on the very right-hand side?
Swami.
This Swami.
Swami.
Okay. Do you recognize this Swami? His name is Krishnamurti Maharaj. He's in South America. Okay? He's in charge of our, I think the Brazil or Argentina Center or Brazil Center. Okay, and that is me as a brahmachari here. So, we're going to the happiest place on earth, all right? Disneyland. Okay? Now, what you notice is that as we're going down on this ride, what's happening? If you notice closely, you have to look at Swami Atmagyanji Maharaj. You notice his knuckles? They're very tight. They're become white. And if you look closely at his face is cringe. It's like this. Okay? Although he's wearing a t-shirt that says, "Life is good," he ain't feeling so good. Okay? And if you look at me and look at Swami, we're really enjoying this ride. Right? Now what's really interesting, look at the person behind me. His eyes are closed. He's in a very meditative state. Where's his attention? If you look at this like at the gunas, you can see his attention is in his body. All right? Tamas.
Yeah,
Right? Our attention is projected out to the world. We're enjoying this ride. This person behind me, his attention, like sattva, is immersed in his own self.
Yeah.
And what's really strange, if you took a really closer look, look at the woman behind me. You can't see her, but if you see her closely, this woman has black hair. Her hair is coming out like this, and her tongue's like this. If you look closely, you see her eyes like. You have the three gunas, Shiva and Mother Kali.
What about you? What are you doing?
No, me and
Enjoying
Swami,
it.
our attention is in the world.
Wow.
We're the Raja Guna
Yeah.
here, okay? And if the whole idea, you want to be like Swami A, so that you had enough of the world, and you want to get out. Okay? That's one who's going to get moksha.
Very good interpretation.
Swami A hasn't seen this photograph. But I make fun of him everywhere I go.
I think he should have a copyright on the picture.
So, now,
I have a question. Who took this picture?
Disneyland, the Swami, the Krishnamurti Maharaj, when we went down, the picture's taken by the Disneyland company because they want to sell it.
I thought maybe selfie.
No, who's going to take the selfie there?
No, that would be.
Swami A won't be.
No, not Swami. Okay, so
I remember this experience. It's quite scary.
it is
it
quite
is,
scary.
it is.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
5-year-old son was with us when he said, "I'm never going to come here again. I'm not even going to bring my children."
That's true. So that's the experience of life. Is this that? This is the experience of life. So what we see then is out of love. What's happening? Out of divine love, this universe is manifesting. Then what is this left hand? Out of His divine grace. Out of His divine grace, He will uncover the world for us and set us free. This is what both of these hands are representing. Love and grace. So, to me, then, when I look at this photograph, does it invoke the devotional mood within you? Does it, what's this? Are you seeking a relationship with someone? Someone that you can pray to, someone that you can worship? Are you seeking a relationship with the divine author of the universe? The cosmic being? Who art thou? When I You know there's a meaning of kripa. You've heard the word kripa. What does kripa mean?
Grace.
Grace. Okay, grace. If you take the word into its two components, what are the two components of kripa? Kri and pa. What does kri mean? To do.
Do.
Yeah.
Kri, to do.